Okay, I'm recording. So some of the questions they're the same as last week. The first question that I want to piggyback off to start for me was the first one. So just so everyone's familiar, the question says, "What were the most valuable components of this week's topic?" As I explained last week, for me, I work construction, and so the biggest takeaway for me this week was realizing how often I jump straight into solving the problem instead of fully understanding them. Um, as you guys know, construction is schedule based. So as soon as there's an issue, you want to get it figured out as soon as possible. But I've really realized that I've probably wasted a lot of time and energy trying to figure out or trying to solve the problem immediately instead of figuring out what the actual problem is. And I've probably, like a good example of this is a lot of times if there's a problem with delays or whatever, a lot of times people think it's manpower. So I'll always throw more people at it or try to get things done quicker. But in reality, the problem may have been like a design question or a design error or the system's not working properly. So extra manpower doesn't help at all. It actually makes things more chaotic and it just costs time and money. So that was kind of my biggest takeaway from this week was just, like I said, figuring out the problem rather than just trying to solve it immediately.
I was actually going to say the same thing. It's funny how how that's seen as kind of like a blind spot, and it comes off as like being incompetent. So it's funny how that kind of transitions into that. But I also found it pretty funny how it says that we're really wired to solve problems, and I hear that with my fiance a lot. My my day in day out job and just work life, and it's just finally it's just I'm always trying to find a problem to solve, and sometimes I need to take a step back and just kind of listen, understand what the root problem is.
Sure.
And I think I immediately jumped to like, well, I feel like I'm trying to understand the problem, but really I'm trying to find a solution. Like, I don't know, I was just struggling to find a balance there. And then I was re-reminded with the readings of the Value Lab, like, okay, this is actually a good tool that helps you slow down, like to really piece together. And I think like what's really interesting, I mean, I work in corporate America, so I work for General Mills, so it's what, 30,000 plus employees, which means it's a cog in the machine at every step. And there's like, I own the most microsphere in this massive company. And it was kind of interesting as I went through the value lab analysis for one of the problems that I was working through right now. It was essentially like, okay, it helped me understand like what can I control, what can I not control, where do I need to go, which I felt was very helpful to like actually see where my sphere of influence was rather than spinning around the whole like solution idea over and over again.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great insight.
So I felt I work in research, and just like Cash mentioned, sometimes problems just pop up, like, and there's a lot of time constraint, like or time bound. You need to solve the problem quickly. Couple of things which I kind of understood is try to prioritize the problems, like just like how you mentioned. Not all problems can need to be solved immediately. You need to just prioritize the scope of the problem first, and then decide what resources you can use to solve the problem. And one of the key resources which I felt for problem solving is your own team. Your teamwork itself is a great resource. Multiple ideas, multiple views, skill set. If, so basically, a collaborative effort can really help solve problems. That's one thing which I realized.
That's awesome. I have some points on that in our next question, but I'll let Luke give his insight then.
I just felt like this week was kind of cool that the readings were like, are you looking at the right problem? Like, how do you think about it? And then just like, how do you manage the change? Um, I think just getting like that kind of that three-step framework and also understanding the difficulty and pitfalls of each of those. Like, for example, like John Cotter's like 8 steps. I was kind of shocked when it was like 80% of like transformation efforts fail. That means that we got to take this like pretty seriously if we actually care about making these things change.
No, for sure. No, I agree. So everything you guys have said kind of rolls into the next just two questions quickly that I wanted to address. The first one is why are these topics important? And then what will I do with what I've learned? And each of you have said such impactful things and really kind of the thoughts that I've had. Construction's pretty easy to understand. Like when there's a problem, it can be super expensive. And the longer the problem goes off, generally, the more expensive it is because it impacts other people. And so I've learned one of the things that I've enjoyed is just being a good leader kind of sets the tone for, helping others be included and creating like this ability for everyone to kind of provide their input so you can really figure out each other what the problem really is and then you can focus on really what it is so you can know what the actual solution is going to be, not kind of dancing around potential solutions, seeing if it's going to work. So the things that I've also learned is just, taking it easy in the beginning, just trying to slow down, figure out what the problem actually is, what's the root cause, what are the symptoms of it, and bringing in even multiple trades. Maybe, it's bringing in the architect and the owner saying here, like this is what the problem is. What do you really want out of this? This might change what's going to happen, but is this what you want? And kind of stepping back and thinking for a minute and just being comfortable with that and being patient and using everyone around you.
Yeah, to echo that, I can't tell you how much time I spent trying to solve a problem and not having trying to solve the wrong problem and just not knowing what I should actually be tackling. So having the self awareness to take a step back and kind of reflect on like what am I actually trying to solve? What is the bigger problem at hand? Like am I going about this the right way? Am I thinking about all the right problems? So just having that awareness is it's monumental and some that I'm trying to incorporate day in day out. I mean, today I actually try to implement that. I'm not going to go into all the details, but we're discussing something at work, and I just saw that everybody just jumped in trying to say, "Oh, let's try this. Can we do this? Have we tried that?" But then, I just kind of suggested, like, okay, what's really going on here? Let's take a step back and just kind of think about it. And we actually got to the deeper cause, and it kind of unfolded some bigger problems that we hadn't even thought about.
Do you feel that like this module has helped you with that? Like recognize that you should just kind of step back?
Yeah, as we were talking about it, like I kind of saw how it was unfolding, and I just started thinking. I was like, I literally just learned, listened
Right.
to, a video about this last week, and it kind of helped me kind of just really better understand how things are unfolding. And yes, short answer, yes.
That's amazing. Sweet.
So the timing could not have been better. It was great.
Good.
And I think I don't know what's on top of my mind is it's what environment are you curating? Like I think solving the right plan, like solving the right problem, constantly. Like what they were saying is like it's about innovation, it's about taking risks, it's about going forward type idea. And I've definitely seen that in my company as of recently. We're not doing so hot. No food company is if you're following the stocks right now. And I've seen it on my team kind of collapse innovation, where people are scared to voice like actual problems and opinions because we've had
Mhm.
huge layoffs and we've had, you know, really bad fat fiscal years for the past 2 years. And so it's just interesting as I think about my own team, like what environment am I cultivating? And am I really actually thinking about the correct problem, or am I looking for like the quick fix so that it like is a fast turnaround and I look better in the short term? So
Yeah.
anyways, I just was thinking a lot about like incentives and how that aligns with teamwork and how you lead a team.
No, that's great. I love it.
Um, I think what it really helped me with was spending more time thinking about the problem rather than just slapping all the solutions down. Like, like if there's a machine that's like over capacity, I'd probably be like, oh, how do I like lube it up to make it go faster? But like instead it's just like, well, maybe there needs to be like a different machine there or and just like defining the problem in its like core. Because I think sometimes I run fast, make something, realize why it doesn't work after I made it, and then I go back and then I really understand the problem.
Hmm.
And I think that this might help me skip that first step.
Well, even just you saying that, I thought immediately that let's say that you recognize a machine has an error and you try to fix the error or you bring in another machine. Maybe the error is just simply something's wrong with the machine. So rather than spending all your resources and funds and getting another machine that you wasted, you could have just fixed the first one and figured out the problem in the first part. So that's great. Thank you, Luke.
So I think time itself is a resource. And if you take the time to look at the problem, spend the time, I think that itself can give you a pathway to kind of solve the problem. So I guess probably we also should, when we at our work, we should probably like what the professor mentioned. So you need to be kind of more, can I say, um, looking out for problems, right? Rather than just wait for the problem to happen, you look ahead and
Mhm.
kind of see, hey, this can cause a problem in the future. If you can devise that kind of thought process, like a proactive thought process when you approach a problem, that also helps a lot when you really get the problem and try to find a solution.
Yeah.
At least the success rate is higher, I think, at that point,
Hmm.
and
No,
be proactive.
great insight. Yeah, that's great. Looking ahead. Does anyone else have anything that they'd like to add from this week?
We got a lot of babies being born in this team.
Right? I know. That's good. Okay. Well, I'm going to stop the recording then.